Entrepreneurship is directly linked to sales. You need to have the ability to sell. If you're unable to walk up to anyone and take a proposition, and if you're scared for rejection, you can't be an entrepreneur.
Service is an easy thing to bandy around. Service in a restaurant, what does that actually mean? So service in dealership, what does that actually mean? So there's two problems. One, dealership takes too long to respond to an inquiry. And then the second biggest problem is
our policy is when the car's invoiced next morning, first thing, the team removes it. When a used car isn't like a new car, there's only one off. So if you have the right spec car and you get 30 calls on it, it's first come, first serve. But once it's gone, it's gone.
So DigiCars has this other sister company, Armored Mobility.
There's a need for armored cars.
Dawood, really nice to have you here. And it's been a long time coming. I've visited your dealership a couple of times now, and I'm fascinated by your story. And that's what we're going to get into today. But thank you very much for being here.
Thank you, George. It's a pleasure being here and spending time with you and going through my journey. I hope it's inspiring and it inspires some youngsters.
I'm inspired by it, so I'm pretty sure that anybody watching this is going to be inspired by it too. So let's kind of start at the beginning. Where were you born?
I hail from Durban.
Durban.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the guys from KZN come to Joburg and we just shake things up a bit.
You do, especially in the motor industry.
You think so?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was in Cape Town yesterday for a meeting, and from the 7 people that I met, 4 of them were actually from KZN, all in the motor industry. So yeah, possible.
Yeah, so the KZN has made its mark in the motor industry, I think. So you grew up in KZN, or when did you end up?
Yeah, I grew up in KZN, and I ended up in Joburg by chance.
By chance?
By chance.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely interesting.
How did you end up here by chance? Was it in your adulthood that you came to Joburg, or when you were still a child?
No, I was 18 years old.
Okay.
I was doing something very non-motor related in Durban. And by chance, I met someone during the Easter weekend in Durban. And he owned a dealership. And he's like, nah, just jump in the car. We're going for a drive. I'm like, where? He says, no, we're going to Nigel. I'm like, okay, why? He says, for interview. So I came to Nigel. And I went for the interview. And then I got the job.
At a dealership?
Yeah. My first job was registration documents, blue forms, yellow forms, bank statements, and making number plates.
Oh, wow.
I hated that job. I still can't do the blue forms, yellow forms till today. It just wasn't for me. But so that's how I got my start and my break in the motor industry. While making number plates and getting bank statements and everything, I kind of helped the customer on the floor. And in my first month, while not being a salesperson, I sold 4 cars. And the second month and third month, and by the 4th month, I was the number 1 salesman.
Oh, wow.
So I got to give up the blue forms and yellow forms. I kept the number plates and the banking, and I was a salesman.
And what was your trick, in inverted commas? So what was your sales technique that caused you to be the leading salesperson?
Yeah, so I think it's my upbringing. I think it's my journey. I've been buying and selling and trading from a very young age. My dad passed away when I was quite young, and that's my mom and myself. So I decided in primary school that I was going to sell chocolates. So yeah, from I think grade 6 right up until matric, I had my own tuck shop within my school bag, and that took me through high school and pocket money and whatever else needed. So yeah, it was part of the hustle.
How important is sales? I mean, seeing as you had this journey of selling goods, effectively chocolates. So how important is sales, and how did that influence the rest of your career?
I think entrepreneurship is directly linked to sales. You need to have the ability to sell. And if you're unable to walk up to anyone and take a proposition, and if you're scared for rejection, you can't be an entrepreneur because that risk that is needed to do what we do. I mean, it's not for everyone. And
So if you've got fear of rejection, entrepreneurship and sales is not for you.
yeah, definitely. I mean, I sold everything from chocolates and sweets to curios to clothing. I bought, I sold, I worked from a young age. So just before I came up to Joburg, I was then doing cell phones. I was running a cell phone shop. And this opportunity came and I was like, let me go and check it out, And yeah, I didn't look back. And I think, being humble and always knowing where you came from and just knowing the job ahead, you have to work harder than everyone else. You have to prove that you're worth it because, I mean, you come to a new environment, you have no experience. I couldn't even drive. We've never owned a car. So I mean, I'm selling cars. In Niger, I have a lot of Afrikaans-speaking people.
Yeah.
I can't speak Afrikaans, but I'm trying. And yeah, it was a beautiful, amazing journey. And I think being given the opportunity by my boss and his family, it's priceless.
That's awesome. So from that used car dealership, independent used car dealership, where did your career take you after that?
So
in Nigel, because now you're in Sandton, right?
Now in Sandton, we've moved up a bit, but we can't forget our roots, eh? Yeah. So I think it was 4 or 5 years. I remained doing what I was doing, but we always dream big and always want to change and move things around. And I think the realization came that Nigel, being a very small town with some surrounding towns, didn't have the kind of volume of business that I wanted to do. So we introduced some new things at the time. This is like 2005, 2006. We started developing pods, buying pods in small, underserved rural areas. And then I built a network business where I got unemployed people. I created a network around South Africa in underserved communities. And we had like small delivery stands there. And out of Nigel, we were selling 200 to 300 cars a month through this network. And I think I ran that from about 2008 up until, for 10 years.
Wow.
For 10 years in Nigel.
Still working for the dealership in Nigel?
Yeah, so I done a deal after 5 years. So in 2008, I done a deal that we'd go 50-50. And I would run a consultancy business through that dealership. And so they provide the asset, I'll provide the clientele. And then I had about 30 or 40 people working for me directly in the business. So I ran everything parallel to them within the business. And then I had about a network of 500-600 people around the country.
Wow, that's ingenious. How did you build this network up initially? Was it one at a time, or did you tap into an existing network?
AutoTrader.
I didn't expect that answer.
AutoTrader. So, back in the day, we used to have the print
magazine,
copy.
Yes.
Salespeople's names and numbers were inside there. Yeah. So I done the AutoTrader advert, and I made sure my name is first, and I would take calls 24/7. And the minute someone buys a car, meet them, go see which company they work for, try and convert them into sending me leads. That time there you could look at the magazine, phone a salesperson, and there was lots of ingenious ideas. But I built my database from AutoTrader. I started from AutoTrader.
Well done. Well done. Phew. That story I've never heard.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. And then how did your journey go from that dealership in Nigel to now iCar or DigiCars or Armored Mobility? Because we're going to get into all three of those just now. What was your journey to that point?
So I think the one aspect of my personality is if I do something, I want to do it right. I don't ever want to do something half. And I think that's what you see when you visit any of my businesses. When you do something, we do it so that, you leave a mark. And I always do something to the best of my ability and to my financial means. So having conquered and built this amazing business in Nigel, I began asking myself, what's next? And I realized that business wouldn't be future-proof because with technology, the customers were now being able to engage directly with OEM dealerships, and our edge was we were providing those vehicles to them at a premium. So what is next? I realized, no, we need to have a presence in Johannesburg, so it's more centrally located, with a bigger feeder or a larger car park that can feed the business. And using that, I wanted to then be able to sell cars digitally. So we cut out the middleman and take away the human being that's connecting everyone, and give and use technology to replace the person. So one of my very good friends, Abdullah Varachia, he asked me, or he convinced me to do a course with Gibbs on leading in a digital environment or economy. So we done the program. I had a concept of taking my existing business with this network and taking out the network component and replacing it with an aggregator of sorts. And for that to work, we needed a central location. So that's where the DigiCars concept and moving to Sandton came from. Yeah.
Okay. So did you move that consultancy to being a physical dealership in Sandton?
Yes.
Effectively is what I'm
Yeah.
hearing.
Yeah.
And then took out that network component and replaced it with digital processes.
So the network component started dropping rapidly from around 2017 as people got more used to using technology and other means. They were choosing to rather deal directly as opposed to dealing with a middleman, number one. Number two, a lot of dealerships opened up in those smaller, unserved towns. Like if you take Empangeni, you can buy every single brand new car in Empangeni today. You couldn't do that 15 years ago.
Yeah.
So all of these smaller towns got better service by the OEMs and by the franchises. So that business, I felt if I stayed doing what I was doing, I would become irrelevant very soon because it was a dying business model. So yeah, I think we were one of the first movers to trying to sell a car digitally and get a customer to do everything online. We wanted to go with the Carvana model. But obviously, South Africa in 2018, 2019 still wanted to touch, feel, and see.
Yes.
And we had to adapt quickly so that customers could actually, have a hybrid approach online or come in physically and see the vehicle. I still maintain 6 years later that we're now very, very close to having that hybrid approach and having a more online sort of presence. And I think that's what I'm busy with in the background with DigiCars at the moment, is how do we then launch a truly digital online car dealership where you can buy with peace of mind, trust, and knowing you're getting a good deal and with the guarantees in place. The motor industry has a bad rep because of a few dealers that don't think long-term, they're thinking short-term. And I think we need to take the opportunity, or this newer generation of us dealers need to take the opportunity on righting the wrong of the past, being transparent, being honest, and giving good value. So yeah, if we get that right, we can then really, get us to doing 50, 60% of our business digitally, as opposed to not even 10% at the moment in terms of end to end.
Yeah. So, do you think it's possible to buy such a big asset for a consumer purely online?
Yeah. Much easier in the new car space.
Yes.
In the pre-owned space, We Buy Cars is doing it to an extent in terms of, you can see the whole car online and whatever it is.
But I bet the consumer still visits the car.
Definitely.
Because the fulfillment piece needs to be done.
But if you're able to create, and I think what needs to happen in the used car industry, we need to be able to give guaranteed returns, and then also having a very transparent and open and honest report on your vehicle's condition. I know you get DECRA reports, etc., but it's open to different points of views in terms of what you're seeing there.
Yeah.
But it is definitely possible. It's easier when there's a middleman, but taking out the middleman, you have to create trust.
Yes.
You have to create trust. And I think that's something I pride myself in doing, and my employees and my staff. It's very important to us.
So what's the catalyst for that trust? Is it giving the consumer peace of mind that they can return the car? Is it giving the consumer peace of mind that you'll deal with any issues or give their money back? What is the silver bullet there?
I think you need to be able to deliver what you promised. You have to make sure that the product advertised and the disclosure on the product being purchased is 100% in accordance with the actual product, number one. And number two, you need to be able to give the consumer perhaps a refund guarantee if you don't meet those conditions. I mean, a motor vehicle is a motor vehicle. You can have a brand new vehicle that suddenly stops,
Yes,
you know.
exactly.
But I think it's giving the consumer the peace of mind that if it's not up to standards, bring it back.
Yes.
Take it back, yeah.
Okay. So now, we're at DigiCars in Sandton. How did you secure that building? Because that's quite a prominent location as you come off Grayston Drive, I think it is.
That credit goes to Abdullah.
Okay.
He found it and he was like, we got to get this one. I'm like, yeah, we have to chase it. And yeah, so he secured it. He found
What was there before?
There used to be a filling station there and they demolished it and the building was put up and we were the first
tenants?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And because it's in a prime spot. When I came to visit you, it was almost like, wow, this is in between the banks and the financial institutions and the lawyers in Sandton, and here is this cool dealership in the center of all that. So it's a very cool location. Well done.
And I think that location has really worked well for us.
Yeah.
In terms of setting us up as a premium dealer. And I mean, when I say premium, we don't talk about expensive premium cars. It's a premium service.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
It's a convenience and a service of our offerings.
Okay. So DigiCars, you said the name comes from trying to allow a consumer to buy a car digitally end to end, and you're still striving on that journey, which is I suppose, a long journey. And your parent company is iCar.
iCar Technologies, yeah.
Okay. How does your group fit together?
So from a used car dealership, DigiCars, we then dabbled in new cars, and we got Cherry Sand and Cherry Northcliffe. Very proud of those two dealerships. We've consistently won Dealer of the Year and After Sales of the Year, etc. And my partner and dealer principal is phenomenal at the new car game. I think that's part of our success. He's really good. He's really committed. And it's all about service. I mean, there's 80-something Cherry dealers in the country, and we're all selling the same product. The difference is the service. It comes down to the service. So yeah, I mean, that was phenomenal.
How do you differentiate yourself on service with the dealership, new or used? And what are the key elements that people can learn? Because service is an easy thing to bandy around. Service in a restaurant, what does that actually mean? So service in a dealership, what does that actually mean?
I think getting to provide excellent service will always be a work in progress. You will never be at that level where you say, I'm giving now 100% best service, because it's continuously evolving. But it comes down to the culture of our dealerships. Our employees, our executives, our shareholders. It's a common understanding that we need to differentiate ourselves. How would we feel if we were being serviced? How soon? How do you value the client? How long before you phone the client back? Do you keep your word? Do you give him the best possible deal? Do you go over and above? Are you prepared to stay open till 8, 9, 10 p.m. at night to do what has to happen? And I think it's a definite yes. It's a definite yes, because if a client sends a lead, we try and get the lead call within half an hour.
30 minutes. Wow.
30 minutes. It's going the extra mile. It's not holding back in terms of spending to keep our client happy. From the scent of the showroom to the gift to the after sales, even if it costs you money, it's fine. It's an investment. Your customer is your investment.
It's a long-term investment.
Yeah. So it's,
lifetime value of a customer.
I don't think we can say we're there. We still fall short a lot, but we definitely, I mean, every meeting, every management meeting, every executive meeting, the first point is on customer experience, customer service, and how do we improve?
So sticking with the theme of service, some of our data at AutoTrader shows that there's two problems. One, dealership takes too long to respond to an inquiry. You say 30 minutes. And then the second biggest problem is that the car is already sold. So dealers leave cars on the platform for too long. Is that an important part of service in your definition? I know the first part of getting to the customer quickly is important, but ensuring that there's transparency around the stock of digicars, because that's the second biggest bugbear on AutoTrader's platform of most dealers.
So dealers have a tendency of not removing their sold cars. Our policy is when the car is invoiced next morning, first thing, the team removes it. Because the last thing you want, when a used car isn't like a new car, there's only one off.
Yes.
So if you have the right spec car and you get 30 calls on it, it's first come, first serve.
Yeah.
But once it's gone, it's gone. And there's no way you're going to find that car again because it's a used car. It's got certain mileage, certain spec, and you're going to have a disappointed customer.
And how frustrated that customer is going to be at digicars because that car doesn't.
And it happens. I think what we try to do, if there's a car with multiple leads, we ask them to maybe secure the vehicle with giving a holding deposit.
Okay.
And the first person to secure by either giving a holding deposit or by buying the vehicle, gets the vehicle, to keep it transparent. I mean, it's first come, first serve. We just keep it. And the salesperson also has to compete. You'll have 2 or 3 salespersons with different clients for the same car. And it's who gives the best service and who closes the deal gets a car. Reserving cars and creating unnecessary problems, no, try to avoid it.
So I know in the new car world, especially premium cars, premium as in higher end priced cars, this concept of securing the car with a deposit is used quite often. In the used car world, I don't know if it's used that often. Are consumers not reluctant to pay a deposit in the used car world, or do you find that because of the DigiCars brand and your transparency and your reputation, that it's quite easy for a consumer to place a deposit on a used car?
Yeah, so we don't have a challenge with deposits. I mean, if they sort off the car and the sales people are competing, someone will get a customer to pay a deposit and the car is reserved for them. And I mean, if something doesn't go as to plan, we refund it. And even if the deal doesn't need a deposit, we also refund the money. So we don't have an issue getting security on the car.
That's very interesting, because for me, that goes quite a long way down that digital journey. If a consumer is willing to part with money sight unseen, that means they trust the digital journey to a certain degree, and especially on a used car. So DigiCars has this other. Is it a sister company, Armored Mobility?
Yes.
And I think you're quite proud of Armored Mobility. Tell me how that started.
It excites me. I think the potential in it's exciting, and it's something new I haven't done before. I wasn't in manufacturing before. Yeah, so I stumbled across it in 2020. In 2020, I think so. And came across it, took someone's car, chanced it, sold it. I wanted to learn more, so I learned the industry, traveled a bit, seen what's out there. And yeah, we partnered up with a manufacturer that's been building armored cars for many, many years. And we proud to have a partnership with them. And yeah, that's our journey into armored cars. I think when we started armored cars, AutoTrader had probably about 40 to 50 cars listed. Today, 3 years down the line, I think this morning I seen 160 cars on AutoTrader, armored cars. So it's a market that we played a big part in creating. I think when we came to the fray, there were only three companies competing on a large scale. And we've done a lot of hard work. My team, really proud of them, they've pushed over and above and beyond in terms of taking a product out there, in creating the awareness for the product. And before, it was a very closed niche market, only if you knew, you knew. And we creating awareness because Africa has a need for it. There's a need for armored cars.
So, DigiCars, iCar, you've got the Cherry franchise, you've got Armored Mobility.
We took a Moda and JQ recently as well.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yeah. Fantastic vehicle, eh? So very excited.
And so where's that dealership going to be?
It's temporarily in Sandton, but that's moving to Rivonia.
I see.
Yeah.
I see. So how many businesses are you the leader of? Just as a number, because I have a follow-up question to that.
So firstly, I have a team that supports me in everything I do.
Yes. If you didn't, I would be surprised.
I have about six businesses.
6 businesses that you're the leader of, right?
That I'm the leader of, and I'm co-leading. Yeah.
Yes, or you're co-leading. So here's my actual question. So we see this in the likes of people like Elon Musk, right? And he leads SpaceX, he leads Tesla, he's got the Boring Company, he leads that brain implant Neuralink.
Yeah.
So just kind of as a comparison, how do you manage your day leading 6 companies?
I'm a very disorganized person. I think
organized chaos.
Organized chaos. So I don't keep my diary very rigid. I'm always available for whatever needs to happen on the day. I think if my staff need me, I'm there, and I keep myself flexible and available to that day. And I think my wife plays a huge role in enabling me to be everywhere. In helping me get my mornings off, and seeing to the kids, and playing the huge role that she plays at home. And it gives me the freedom and the space to be able to do everything that I do. And then again, I have a very, very capable team around me. And we make it happen.
So how do you hire that very capable team? What is your silver bullet? Because none of us can do our jobs at the level that we'd like to without capable people. So how do we identify those people? Attract them, number 1. Number 2, retain them. But then also number 3, sometimes people aren't really fit for the role anymore at some point.
So I think as our business grew, I began to realize some people aren't fit for the new roles, and you can't throw people away.
No.
They've been on the journey with you, and you keep the person in the position that suits them. I think what works really well for me is I really believe in the power of shared value. I keep singing the same story and shared value, and I'm happy to share. I really am happy to share whatever we're doing, because if you want to keep everything to yourself, if you want to do it alone and be in complete control and charge of it and whatever it is, the pie will be the size. But if you're willing to share, if you're willing to do different projects and you're willing to bring on capable partners, you just grow exponentially. And I think, I believe in it. It's first finding the right person. It's very hard to find talent. It really is. And you might go through 10 people until you find the right person.
Yeah.
But when you find that person, you hold on to them and you let them share in the reward of what's there, what's materializing. And I think that's how I do it. I mean, for me, what's important, I play in areas that I have no experience in, but it's partnering up with the right persons, learning and sharing. So we recently entered property development, and we're doing some construction sites and everything. And I have an amazing partner in that business, years of experience. We're more than happy to share. And and that's the new projects that we're busy with at the moment.
So then, moving back to DigiCars and the industry itself, how do you plan on tackling the industry? Are there any changes besides inside your business that you'd like to make to the industry itself?
Yeah. So I think by and large, our industry hasn't changed enough to reflect the demographics. I think there's amazing talent out there. unfortunately, it's very, very hard to secure funding and capital. And I think that's the biggest constraint out there.
And a car dealership is capital intensive.
Very, very capital intensive. And yeah, for you to open up anything of substance, you need probably around a lot of money. So for me, it's we're trying to establish a group. For the next 5 years, I'd like to have perhaps 12 or 13 different OEM brands within the stable of DigiCars, so that we can truly extract the value from our online platform business that we're trying to achieve. But I want to create real meaningful value for people that come along the journey with us. And, maybe training, development, skill sharing, and then you're identifying the right persons and giving them that financial boost to be independent and to be their own bosses. And I think that's the change, or that's something I want to change in the motor industry. Dealership ownership still hasn't transformed enough, I think. And if we're serious about transformation, and we're serious about having an equitable share for people in the country, there has to be some work in terms of transferring ownership, not just management positions and that, but transferring ownership in the industry.
So in light of you and your career and where you've got to up to now, what is the biggest challenge you've faced?
I think the biggest challenge is getting an opportunity. Nothing's come easy.
Let's start.
Yeah, for me to just basically become a salesperson, not an admin person. I had to fight and motivate, getting an appointment with the bank, getting a dealer code, getting a facility, finding premises. When you have one hand tied behind your back, and I think fighting to get an opportunity has been and is the biggest or the most difficult part of my journey. And I think that's faced by most people, by most entrepreneurs.
Do you still face those challenges today?
Yeah, I think, we're only doing new cars for about 3 years. So we're tapping on the doors to try and get other opportunities. But it's a very closed network, and the OEMs would prefer going with larger groups. And so I think we got to punch above our weight and try and knock on those doors and open up the opportunities.
That's very interesting, because it's a challenge you faced right at the beginning. It's a challenge you continue to face. So what is the over your entire career you faced this similar theme? What is your advice to overcome that challenge?
I think it just comes down to determination. If you're capable, and you're capable, and you see value, you got to go guns blazing. If I see an opportunity, or if I find an opportunity, I don't stop until I knock on every single door and open the opportunity and realize something out of it. I won't just get involved in anything. I'm very selective of what I do, but if I see opportunity, then I want to play in that space. I want to learn the space, and I'll do everything possible to learn everything about it, and I will get the door opened. Yeah.
Yes. Have you ever failed?
Yeah.
At something and shut it down and I'm not doing that anymore?
Many times. When you're an entrepreneur, you take a lot of chances, and you're very trusting in most instances, and you lose a lot of money along the way. You trust people, you do deals, you see value in something that's not there. And if there's no losses, then you're not an entrepreneur.
I see.
And it's just trying to get the balance right, where you're not losing more than you're winning. So and I think with time and experience, you get better at picking the right ones and staying away when you need to stay away. But we all make mistakes. I make a lot of mistakes. I don't know how my board is still so patient with me, but we go along this journey.
Have you ever come close to distraction? So you quite often find that entrepreneurs say that they've failed at least 1 to 3 times, and some people say they've lost everything and rebuilt it. Have you ever come close to that?
So I think I'm still building, so I haven't had the opportunity to lose everything. I think moving to Sandton was way more difficult than I would have ever imagined, On paper it made so much of sense. Fantastic business model. It's going to work, and you'll make it work. And then I think we opened in 2018. Those 2 years were very challenging, and then COVID came in 2020, and I was thinking month to month, do I stop? Do I continue? Do I stop? Do I continue? How much reserve funds do we have? How many more months can we sustain ourselves? And there's a lot of trade-offs. It was a lot of trade-offs. We came very close to running out of reserve capital, but we stayed the course, and it all worked out.
Lovely. Are you a reader? Do you read books?
Yes, I do.
What is your kind of top 1 to 3 books that have inspired you? Well, unless you're a fiction reader, obviously, but then also same question.
So I like a bit of both. I read fiction. I love John Grisham, but I think I also, if I start or if I go into something new, I want to learn as much as I can about the industry or whatever it is. So 2 books that I was reading recently. One was Just on Time at Toyota, and it's how they run their production line, not wasting money and not having goods in storage, but having a production line running diligently. And I think that's made a big impact on me in terms of how I see us taking our manufacturing business forward in terms of armoring. And I think the other book that's quite interesting at the moment is Genius Makers. It's all about AI and how from the 70s, these people, they believed in a vision and they conceptualized it. And today we have AI, and I mean, they came close so many times to like just throwing it all in. And but they persevered, and they were ridiculed. And today you have AI, and that's transforming the world like you can't believe. And I mean, it's the future of everything. It's a future. I believe it'll have a massive impact on retail as well, on how we understand customers and their behavior and what they want and everything. So I think that book, so I'm halfway through it at the moment, but it's very interesting.
So quite often, talking about artificial intelligence, quite often people confuse machine learning and large language models or artificial intelligence because they're different. Do you employ, I'm pretty sure you employ machine learning in your business, but do you employ artificial intelligence in DigiCars?
No. I want to say yes, but no. I think the disconnect between the employees and bringing in this technology right now, there's still a large disconnect. I think we're using machine learning quite well. I mean, we're all using it, in terms of reading our stats and our data and planning and what stock to keep and in our day-to-day business decisions. But using artificial language, the project we're busy with, we have Pepper, the robot.
Yes,
so
I've met Pepper.
Yeah, so she's gone to Spain now. We're trying to upgrade her software or her hardware or something so that we can get her to actually have AI built into her, so she can have intelligent conversations with consumers. Because right now, I mean, you program her, hello, how are you, or whatever it is, but she's capable of being programmed to have AI where she can make real recommendations and have discussions with potential customers. So so she's traveled to Spain right now. She's very lucky, and we're hoping that she comes back inspired and all ready for 2025.
That's interesting. So yes, I suppose that's an implementation of AI in a dealership in a really creative way.
In a small way, though.
Yes. Well, when I met Pepper, she was very intriguing, and if she gets smarter, I think people might stand there and have a full-on conversation with her. So let's move to kind of the last topic, which is the culture within DigiCars. So I said to you last time I visited your wonderful dealership, besides the professionalism and the feel that you get from the shop fittings and the way the dealership is laid out, there is a sense of culture inside your dealership. There's a sense of something that is not tangible, and often culture isn't that tangible.
Sure.
How do you cultivate or think about your culture within DigiCars?
Yeah, so I think it's top down, and the culture's always been to work hard, provide excellent service. If you dress well, you feel well, and it's indoctrinated in all of our staff and ourselves that you have to go above and beyond, and you need to show up. You have to show up, and it's a very competitive environment. It's not, we only want performers, and everyone has a time and moment they slack, but overall we are winners throughout the organization. And I think, they naturally motivated, they know what needs to happen. They keep it going, and they're able to live and understand service and beating customer expectations. And it's now DNA, I believe.
So it's been absolutely fascinating having you here, Dawood. And very last question, or should I say request, and that is, if you had to give advice to anybody listening that is an aspiring leader, somebody that's starting out like you did in Nigel, what would your advice be?
You have to start at the bottom. You can't be lazy to work. You have to be able to do everything end to end, because a real leader can do everything end to end when the need arises to. And so don't ever be lazy, and you got to start from the bottom and earn your place.
Earn your place. I like that. Thank you, sir.
George, thank you very much.